Okay, so today we're in section 11.2. We are learning about reflections today, which is our second type of transformation. All right, a reflection or a flip is a transformation that is reflected across the x or the y axis. And we call the x-axis or the y-axis the line of reflection. All right, so when you think of a reflection, what do you think? What comes to mind? A mirror, okay? So a mirror is the point that actually reflects the image, and that's a lot of what we're doing today in the coordinate plane. We're taking a point and we're reflecting it across either the x or the y axis. All right, so here's my rule. To reflect across the x-axis, take the opposite y value. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. To reflect across the y-axis, take the opposite x value. All right, so that's something, yes, that you can memorize. If I want to reflect across x, I do the opposite of the y value. If I want to reflect across y, I do the opposite of the x value. But do you think that that could be probably pretty easily confused in your head, right? Okay, so if you understand actually what is happening when we're changing these ordered pair values, it will make more sense to you and it will be less confusing. All right, so let's look at this ordered pair, negative 4, 4. Okay, if I want to reflect that across the x-axis, what did my rule say? To reflect across x, I do the opposite of y. So if my y value is positive 4 in the original ordered pair, that means in the image, it is now negative 4. My x value stays the same, and my y value becomes the opposite value. To reflect across x, you do the opposite of y. So x stayed the same, and y went from a 4 to a negative 4. See what we did? But now let's look at what that looks like on the graph. And if you can understand what's happening on the graph, it makes a lot more sense. So if I plot my original point, negative 4, 4, does everybody agree it goes right there on my graph? Okay, go ahead and put it on your graph. Negative 4, up 4. Now plot your new point. Negative 4, down 4. So in order to get from the first point to the second point, which axis did it cross? To go from the first point to the second point, it crossed over which axis? The x-axis, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to reflect it across the x-axis. So you see, guys, when I reflect across x and do the opposite of y, it will cross over the x-axis, which is what I wanted. Okay? So now let's do the second point. All right? Reflect the same ordered pair now across the y-axis. So go by your rules. If you're reflecting across y, do the opposite of x, come up with your new ordered pair, and plot your point. To reflect across y, I do the opposite of x. If x was negative 4 in the original, what's it going to be now?
Positive 4.
Positive 4 and positive 4. So when I plot that new point, I'm going right 4, up 4, and that's my new point. And now to get from the first point to the second point, what axis had to be crossed? The y-axis, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to reflect it across the y-axis. So is that making sense more now? If I want to reflect one axis, I do the opposite of the other value, and that essentially makes it cross that axis. Okay, so now in my other examples, we've got the same one, identifying reflections. We'll do the same thing on rotations tomorrow. We're just trying to tell, okay, across the line of reflection, is it a true reflection? And what you want to see is you want to see the same point on the figure reflecting towards the line of reflection in the same direction, okay? What do I mean by that? Pick any point, okay, on the figure. Let's pick this bottom right point right here, okay? If it's a true reflection, that tip or that point should still be closest to the line of reflection on the reflected image.
Our class, you always
Yeah.
lose the connection.
No, I don't know about that. My iPad's about to die, though. Okay, so look here, guys. Tell whether the blue figure is a reflection of the red figure. Okay, so actually red is my original. If I were to flip red in the upward direction, a complete flip, is this a reflection? Yes, it is. Okay, but if you can identify, okay, if it actually flips, then those points would still be facing the line of reflection. That's probably the easiest way. Yes, it's a reflection. All right, what about my second object? No, what is it? It's a translation because it slides across the line of reflection. It's not actually flipping. So bonus points if you recognize it's a translation. Okay? All right, what about this next one? Yes, it is. And again, because I can see that the long side is still facing the line of reflection. Okay, so yes. All right, what about the last one? No, it's a translation again. It's sliding across the line of reflection. Okay, translation. All right, how do we do on that? Okay, easy. Okay, so now we're going to practice reflecting ordered pairs. So we're not actually going to the full reflecting an image. We're just practicing reflecting ordered pairs according to the directions. So it says reflect point A. So I'm going to focus on point A. Reflect point A across the x-axis. Now remember, if it's reflecting the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis, I do the opposite y value to get it to the other side of the x axis. Okay, so that's why I do the opposite y value. So someone raise your hand and tell me what would be my new point A. Aiden.
-4, 3.
Yes, -4, 3. And I would use the A prime. Okay, so we want to stay in the habit of saying A prime with that apostrophe after the A because that's the image. Okay, so I want you to do the other three and check your answers with your neighbor. All right, so A prime reflected across the y-axis. Colin, what'd you get?
4, -3.
Okay, 4, -3. Do y'all agree?
Yes.
Yep, that is correct. All right, point B across the x-axis. Caleb?
-4, 1.
Okay. -4, 1. Very good. And point D. Hope, what'd you get for point D? 1, -3. All right, did y'all get them?
Yes.
Okay, so not too bad once we have it straight which one to do the opposite. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take an original image and then we're going to reflect it across both the x and the y-axis. Okay, we're going to reflect it across both the x and the y-axis. All right, so we're actually going to draw two different figures. All right, there's two ways we can do it, but I think it'll be good practice to take the original, we'll reflect it across x, and we'll reflect it across y. All right, so we're going to plot our original 3 points, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 4, and over 3, up 4. All right, does your original triangle look like this? With a solid line connecting the points. And we do want to label, okay? So it's going to be A, B, and C. Okay, so now we need to reflect the x-axis. Reflecting x means I take the opposite of what? Y. So it's 1, -1, 1, -4, and 3, -4. Once you have your ordered pairs, go over to the graph and draw the figure. Well, the image, I guess would be the correct term. And remember, when you draw the image, should it be a solid line connecting the points?
No.
No, it's a dotted line showing your reader which one is the image. All right, so I'm going to use a different color just to show the difference. Okay, so to reflect across the x-axis, it was over 1, up 1. Now it's over 1, down 1. Over 1, down 4. And over 3, down 4. Then I connect my points with my dotted line. And I get A prime, B prime, and C prime. All right, does yours look like this? Okay, so here's what I want you to notice. Do you see how the tip of the triangle, there, it's both closest, on both sides, it's closest to the line of reflection. Do you see that? Okay, so it's not a shift, okay? It's an actual mirror image. All right, go ahead and do the y-axis now. Okay, so to reflect the y-axis, you do the opposite of x. -1 up 1, -1 up 4, -3 up 4. All right, so I'm going to change my color again. Let's see, I'll use red. Okay, so all right, and change this one. Okay, and then label your points, A prime, B prime, and C prime. All right, does yours look like that?
Yes.
All right, okay, so we're getting the hang of reflections. Yes? Okay. All right, so in example 3, we're going to kind of flip the table a little bit. And now I'm going to show you from start to finish an image or a figure or a point and its image. And you have to tell me what the line of reflection is. So the clue is in how the values are changing. Okay? So now you have the starting point and the ending point, and you have to figure out what the line of reflection is. So the same ordered pair is the beginning point. So in the last class, I think some people thought that they were the same problem. From the original ordered pair to point B, what would be the line of reflection? And from the original ordered pair to point D, what would be the line of reflection? And again, the clue is in how the values are changing. From 5, 3 to 5, -3, which value changes?
The Y.
The Y value. Does everybody see from the original ordered pair? Again, D has nothing to do with it yet. Okay? From the original ordered pair, A 5, 3 to B 5, -3, which value changed? The Y value. So which line of reflection would it cross if it's the opposite Y value? Yes. To reflect across X, you do the opposite of Y. So that means the X-axis was reflected here. Okay, does everybody see why I said the X-axis? Because I observed that the Y values were opposite, so I know that's the X-axis reflecting. All right, so now I want you to do D. Remember, D is a separate problem. So now from the original to ordered pair D, what is the line of reflection? See, Alexa, do you know? Do you know what the line of reflection would be?
So for D,
Yeah.
over Y,
Okay, and how did you know it was the Y-axis?
because the X-axis.
Yeah, because she saw that the X value is opposite, so that's the reflection across Y-axis. Did y'all say Y?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so now the next section is just, it's presenting in a different, from a different angle, but it's essentially saying the exact same thing. From the original ordered pair to the new ordered pair, what is the line of reflection? So go ahead and answer those two. All right, anybody have a guess at the first one? What's the line of reflection, Hadley?
The X-axis.
Okay, and how did you know that?
Because whenever you look at the coordinate planes, the Y coordinate is changing.
Yep. So when the y value is opposite, that means I reflect it across the x-axis. What do you think about the next one? Isla?
X and Y?
Yes, both. It's both. Because now I see x is opposite and y is opposite, and that is possible to reflect across both the x and y. Both x and y axis. All right, how do we do on that, guys? Kind of the start to finish, and then we have to say what the line of reflection is. All right, so in example 4, if you've ever seen t-shirt like screen printing and that type of thing, like a press, okay, you will oftentimes see this, right? So that both sides of the image can be the exact same dimension, you would use something like a reflection to reflect that screen. So what we see here is 5 original ordered pairs, P, Q, R, S, and T. And it says that the artist reflects this pentagon in the y-axis to create the design. So they want you to find the coordinates. So here it is. Find the coordinates of the reflected image. So you're going to write that next to each original ordered pair. Find the coordinates. Then draw the design, the entire design, in the coordinate plane. All right. So 2 steps. We're just basically building on what we've already done in our examples. You're going to find your new coordinates based on your line of reflection, and then plot the design in the coordinate plane. Okay, so here comes the ordered pairs. Okay, are your reflected ordered pairs correct? That's step 1. Okay, now we're going to do the original image, and guys, you do want to label your points, and here's why. Oh, it shouldn't have the prime symbol though. The reason why you want to label your points is because you actually have to connect these in alphabetical order. And how will you know, if you go like which point to go to unless they're labeled? So when they're labeled, you can just go straight. All right, P to Q to R, S, and T. All right, and now we see half of the image. I'm going to pause here because I see some of you still writing. I'm going to let you finish drawing the design. Okay, so here we go on the other side. P and T stay the same, and then I have Q prime, S prime, and then T prime. All right, does yours look like this? Look up at the screen. Okay, and it should completely mirror the original points, and that's the whole point of this. We want the same distance. You don't want a lopsided screen on your t-shirt. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's everything you need to know for 11.2.